I open my eyes. A message pings across the internet. It's not just another hack, it's something else. Entire blockchains collapsing, governments scrambling, passwords, identities, secrets evaporating like smoke. And at the center of it all, a quantum computer we never saw coming. We're stepping into a future where cryptography, the invisible backbone of the internet, can be shattered in an instant. We treat it like an unbreakable vault. We trust it with our banking, our privacy, our identities. But what if that vault has a master key, one that a quantum computer can forge? In this journey, you will see how quantum advantage is no longer theoretical, how new cryptographic frontiers are being drawn, and what it would mean if a quantum machine took down the internet. We'll confront the thriller potential of real science, but always with rigorous grounding. I'm going to walk you through what's possible now, what's coming, and what it means for your daily life, your secrets, your messages, your trust. Let's begin by understanding the fracture line. Classical cryptography versus quantum cryptanalysis. Most of modern secure communication relies on public key cryptography. Things like RSA, ECC, elliptic curve cryptography, Diffie-Hellman key exchange. The magic is that they are based on one-way mathematical problems, easy to compute forward, hard to invert. Factor a huge number, take discrete logs. Classical computers take effectively forever for big keys. Enter Shor's algorithm, 1994. It showed that a sufficiently powerful quantum computer could factor large integers or compute discrete logarithms in polynomial time. That would collapse RSA, ECC, many types of encryption we depend on. But there's a huge catch. Real quantum machines are noisy, fragile, and error-prone. To run Shor's algorithm on a size that breaks, say, 2048-bit RSA, you need millions of logical qubits, which are themselves built from many physical qubits, plus error correction. That's far beyond today's state-of-the-art. Meanwhile, cryptographers built a defense, post-quantum cryptography, PQC. Algorithms designed to resist quantum attacks, even if someone builds that large quantum computer. Over the past decade, there's been intense global competition to standardize PQC. In August 2024, the US NIST released the first 3 finalized post-quantum encryption standards. These include Crystal's Kyber for encryption, chalk key encapsulation, and Crystal's Dilithium, SFIN-CS Plus for digital signatures. So far, so good. We have new algorithms. But here's the twist. Adoption is slow. Systems built over 2 decades rely on RSA, ECC. Moving everything is a massive effort, and quantum capabilities may ramp faster than our ability to shift infrastructure. Many systems remain vulnerable if a quantum adversary harvested encrypted data now and waits until quantum decryption becomes feasible. Now, imagine a scenario. A state actor secretly runs a powerful quantum machine. Over months or years, it quietly collects encrypted traffic. Everything from banking transactions, governmental secrets, private conversations. With the plan, when the time is right, strike. The moment the quantum computer is unleashed, those stored packets decrypt in bulk. The internet vault opens. And that is how the internet is taken down. Not by crashing routers, but by unraveling trust. The cryptographic scaffolding collapses. But can a quantum computer even reach that strength? Which platforms are pushing boundaries now? And which breakthroughs might make that possible? What if I told you that a quantum chip built today is almost within reach of breaking conventional encryption, and that one recent advance crossed a hidden threshold? Keep watching. We tend to think of encryption like a steel vault, thick walls, impossible to crack. But that's an illusion built on math, not on metal. The entire fortress depends on assumptions, that factoring gigantic numbers is hard, that no machine can solve certain equations in any reasonable time. For decades, this illusion worked. We trusted it. We built an entire digital civilization on it. But here's the truth. Mathematics doesn't promise safety. It promises difficulty. Difficulty relative to the computers we know. And quantum computing rewrites that scale completely. What felt like a mountain becomes a staircase. Take RSA 2048, the gold standard for secure communication. On a classical computer, factoring it would take longer than the lifetime of the universe. But with a large enough quantum machine running Shor's algorithm, the same problem shrinks to hours, maybe minutes. The myth of impossibility collapses, and this is where the human brain struggles. We confuse practically impossible with fundamentally impossible. Think of the Wright brothers. Flight was thought to be a fantasy. It wasn't that physics banned it, only that engineering hadn't caught up. Today, encryption faces the same cliff. Physics does not forbid its collapse. And here's a micro scenario. Imagine you're texting a friend. That chat app flashes the little lock icon, end-to-end encrypted. You feel safe. But what if someone had already copied that encrypted data? What if in 10 years they press a button and replay your entire conversation in plain text? The lock wasn't broken in the moment. It was delayed betrayal. This is what intelligence agencies already call harvest now, decrypt later. It's not just personal chats. Think bigger. Medical records, classified government negotiations, corporate trade secrets. All of it stored today, vulnerable tomorrow. And the illusion deepens, because you wouldn't even know it happened until too late. Critics often argue, quantum computers can't do that yet. We're decades away. Maybe. But here's the catch. We don't need a machine with millions of qubits to start shaking the system. Even partial quantum advantage, hybrid attacks that weaken keys or break smaller encryption layers, could expose backdoors right now. Some research suggests that with clever error correction and modular approaches, the timeline is shorter than most expect. So, the illusion is double-layered. On the surface, people think encryption is absolute. Beneath it, even experts reassure themselves that quantum risk is far in the future. But history is cruel with timing. Breakthroughs often arrive faster than bureaucracies can adapt. And here's where the real danger hides. Not in the theft of one password, but in the collapse of trust itself. The internet runs on belief that what's encrypted stays encrypted. Remove that belief and the entire system feels rigged. But talk is cheap. Where's the evidence? Are we really that close to a quantum doomsday for the internet? The ladder of breakthroughs says yes. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let's climb the evidence ladder. Not speculation, not sci-fi, but the real breakthroughs that show how close we are to a quantum computer capable of breaking the internet's encryption backbone. Step 1. Quantum Supremacy, 2019. Google shocked the world when its Sycamore processor performed a calculation in 200 seconds that would take the most powerful classical supercomputer 10,000 years. Critics debated the usefulness of the task, but the message was clear. Quantum machines can already outperform classical ones in specialized domains. It was the first crack in the wall of classical supremacy. Step 2. Scaling qubits. IBM, IonQ, and others are racing to expand qubit counts. IBM's roadmap openly promises over 1,000 qubits by 2026 and has already demonstrated chips surpassing 1,000 physical qubits. Meanwhile, startups like Atom Computing and Quantinuum are experimenting with trapped ion and neutral atom approaches, claiming record-breaking coherence times. More qubits, more stability, more power. The three levers that matter. Step 3. Error correction advances. For years, the Achilles heel of quantum computing was noise. Qubits lose information too quickly. But in 2023, Google demonstrated a significant milestone. Their error-corrected logical qubits scaled in a way that showed error rates actually decreased as the system grew. That's a turning point. Error correction isn't just theoretical anymore, it's becoming practical. Step 4. The cryptographic alarm. This year, 2024, the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, finalized the first post-quantum encryption standards. This isn't academic busywork. Governments don't overhaul global encryption protocols unless the threat feels real. The fact that standards are here means intelligence communities are bracing for a possible quantum decryption event. That's the quiet alarm bell. Now combine those 4 steps. Quantum supremacy proved possibility. Scaling qubits is accelerating. Error correction is stabilizing. And governments are preemptively shifting defenses. That paints a sobering picture. We're not talking about maybe someday. We're talking about a decade-long race already underway, with no guarantee that defensive adoption will beat offensive capability. And here's the hidden wild card: secrecy. Tech companies brag about progress. Governments don't. If a nation-state achieved a breakthrough in quantum cryptanalysis, would they announce it? Or would they quietly harvest, quietly decrypt, and quietly gain a strategic advantage while the rest of the world still sleeps under the illusion of safety? This is the evidence ladder. From flashy demonstrations to silent preparations, and the higher you climb, the more unstable the ground feels. But evidence is only half the story. What happens when the philosophical shockwave hits? If encryption no longer guarantees secrecy, then what is privacy? What is trust? What is power in a quantum world? Let's pause the technical climb and look at the human quake underneath it. Because if a quantum computer ever rips through today's encryption, the shockwave isn't just mathematical, it's civilizational. Think about privacy. Right now it feels like an individual right. You log into your bank, you send a message, you trust the lock. But in a quantum-broken world, privacy stops being a right and becomes a privilege, one only accessible to those who can afford new quantum-safe protections, while everyone else lives in digital glass houses. A new divide opens. The quantum rich and the quantum poor. Then comes power. Information is power, and cryptography is how we balance it. Governments, corporations, activists, even ordinary citizens, we all share the same mathematical shield. Break that shield, and suddenly power redistributes. Imagine one nation able to read the secrets of every rival. Imagine one company able to unlock every competitor's data. Wars could be won without missiles, markets manipulated without evidence, reputations destroyed without trace. And here's the philosophical knife twist. Secrecy has always been fragile, but quantum computing makes it transparently so. What does it mean to trust anyone in a world where your most intimate words could be replayed a decade later? Does honesty become irrelevant if lies can always be exposed by someone with the right machine? Or does society descend into paranoia, where every interaction feels temporary, conditional, unsafe? Critics push back, of course. They argue that post-quantum cryptography is already here, that NIST standards will save us, that upgrades will roll out fast enough. But history whispers a warning. Humans rarely upgrade until disaster forces them. We ignored climate change until cities flooded. We ignored pandemics until hospitals overflowed. Why would encryption be any different? And this leads to the deepest question. Is secrecy itself just an illusion we've convinced ourselves we can maintain? Maybe quantum computing doesn't just threaten the internet. Maybe it forces us to confront that everything we hide, every secret we bury, every wall we build, was always temporary. And if that's true, then the real question isn't whether the internet collapses. It's what rises after. Because the future of communication, security, and even freedom will be rebuilt on quantum ground. But what does that new world actually look like? So what does the quantum horizon look like? The world after encryption as we know it collapses. It's not just destruction, it's reconstruction, and it's already being sketched today. First, quantum-safe cryptography. The NIST standards aren't just technical papers, they're blueprints for a new internet. Crystals Kyber, dilithium, Sphinx Plus. These are the algorithms designed to survive quantum assault. In the next decade, everything from browsers to banking systems will need to swap their locks for these new keys. It will be the largest cryptographic migration in human history. But that's only the software side. On the hardware frontier, we're looking at quantum key distribution, QKD. Instead of relying on math, QKD relies on physics itself, the no-cloning theorem of quantum mechanics. If you try to eavesdrop on a quantum signal, the act of measurement reveals your presence. That makes communication not just secure in theory, but secure by the very laws of nature. China has already launched quantum satellites demonstrating this, and Europe is building a quantum internet backbone. It's not distant science fiction, it's policy in motion. Then comes quantum networks. Imagine fiber optic lines carrying entangled photons across continents. Imagine an internet of qubits, where security isn't patched onto the system but built into its foundation. The very act of connection becomes a shield. That's the future horizon. An internet not vulnerable to being taken down the way ours is today. But let's be honest, every technology has two faces. A quantum-secure internet could protect human freedom, but it could also concentrate control. If only governments or mega-corporations control quantum communication channels, then privacy doesn't democratize. It centralizes. The same way nuclear weapons reshaped geopolitics, quantum cryptography could redraw the map of digital power. And then, there's the unspoken wildcard. AI and quantum computing together. Machine learning already cracks weak passwords, predicts vulnerabilities, and exploits patterns humans can't see. Pair that with quantum decryption, and you don't just have a new kind of hacker. You have an adversary no human system could resist. Unless defenses scale equally, the balance tips. So the horizon is a paradox. On one side, the death of the internet as we know it. On the other, the birth of a quantum internet, more secure than ever, but potentially more controlled than we've ever known. But before we get lost in grand geopolitics, let's zoom back into the personal. What does this quantum upheaval mean for you? Your passwords, your memories, your future self in a world where trust itself has been rewritten? Let's bring this quantum storm home to you. Because when we talk about encryption, it can feel abstract, almost invisible, but it touches everything you do. That email you sent last week, it was encrypted. The photo you uploaded to the cloud, encrypted. The payment you made, the login you typed, the files you backed up, every single one of them wrapped in digital locks. And those locks are the only reason you trust the system enough to use it. Now picture yourself 10 years from now. You've built a career, friendships, maybe a family. Somewhere, a server still holds fragments of your past. The texts, the contracts, the photos, the secrets. You don't think about it, because encryption feels permanent. But what if a quantum computer flips that assumption? What if those fragments are silently decrypted, archived, and analyzed? You wake up one day, and your younger self has no secrets left. And here's the unsettling truth. It's not just about privacy. It's about identity. We curate ourselves online. Who we are, who we were, what we choose to reveal. If quantum computing erases those boundaries, suddenly your future self is chained to every digital trace you ever left. No delete, no forget, just total recall. But there's another side. Imagine being one of the first to adopt quantum-safe tools. Your communications remain private while others are exposed. Your company thrives while competitors fall. Your nation defends its secrets while rivals crumble. The transition won't be equal. It will create winners and losers, even at the level of individual people. And this forces a question. Do you wait for governments and corporations to secure your future? Or do you start preparing now? Password managers, quantum-safe VPNs, crypto wallets shifting to post-quantum standards, these may sound technical, but they're survival tools in a world where the locks of yesterday won't hold tomorrow. And here's where it gets even more personal. Trust. The little green lock on your browser, the reassurance that your data is safe. It's not just code, it's psychological. Lose that, and every interaction online becomes suspect. Is your message really private? Is your money really safe? Is your future really your own? That's the human thread. Quantum computing isn't just about machines and algorithms. It's about memory, trust, and identity in a world where what you thought was private could be replayed, exposed, or weaponized against you. So here we are, a world balanced on the edge of a quantum blade. On one side, the collapse of the old internet, an era where our secrets can be harvested and unlocked like forgotten diaries. On the other, the rise of a quantum-secure future, where privacy may be stronger than ever, but perhaps concentrated in fewer hands. And here's the paradox we can't ignore. Quantum computing isn't just about breaking codes. It's about breaking illusions. The illusion that secrecy is permanent. The illusion that trust is guaranteed. The illusion that the digital world is unshakable. All of those illusions now stand trial. But instead of despair, I see this as a turning point. Humanity has faced paradigm shifts before. The printing press, electricity, nuclear power. Each time we had to rebuild trust, reimagine rules, redraw the map of possibility. Quantum computing is just the next wave, and like every wave, it can drown us or carry us forward. Picture this, a teenager logging onto the internet 20 years from now. They don't fear that their words will be decrypted decades later. They don't question whether their photos or ideas are safe. For them, the quantum internet is as normal as Wi-Fi is for us. That's the goal. To do the hard work now, so the next generation grows up without the shadow of broken trust. The quantum computer that could take down the internet isn't just a threat. It's also a challenge, a test of whether we can evolve fast enough to build something stronger in its place. So here's my question to you. Do you believe this quantum leap will shatter everything we know? Or do you see it as the birth of a safer, smarter digital age? Tell me below, because your perspective might just change how someone else sees the future.